Hello there, it's your girl Daphne back with another video. This time I'm bringing you part 1 of my master bedroom makeover. So I wanted to share what I was looking out my window on this particular day. So on IG and also on my community tab on YouTube, I put up a poll asking which fabric you would like me to upholster the ottoman in, and the window pane was selected. So I actually really wanted to use the window pane. I had saw an inspiration piece a long time ago, and I was so happy when I found this fabric at Joann's. So I quickly purchased it, but I picked up a couple of other suiting fabrics as well because I'm going to be working that into the design of my bedroom. So we're just getting started with cutting out the fabric. So this particular ottoman is about a 15-inch square cube. So I cut the top out 15 inches, and then I just took the full length of fabric that I'm just going to pin around the body of the ottoman, and then I'm going to add in an additional piece. But because this is a window pane, I have to make sure that I am matching all of the window panes to make sure that it looks like a professional job. So you just have to make sure that you line up all of the pattern. Now for the corners, because they are rounded, I am just rounding them off. When I go to do my final pin and then start doing the gluing, I'm going to trim that section off. This project is so easy to do. You just have to basically do pinning on the form. I'm not making any pattern. I'm just pinning and making my own pattern that way. So I just wanted to mention this video is a part of the All Things YouTube, which is hosted by All Things Tiffany Nicole. She started this collaboration a couple of months ago, and it is pick your niche. So my niche is DIY and makeover. So I will be participating in this collab today. It's with a group of lovely creators on YouTube. So I'm going to pop up an image of all of the ladies, and I'm also going to leave each channel's information in my description, as well as a playlist with all of our videos that are participating today. So I hope after you finish watching my video that you visit my description box, click on the link, and enjoy all of the other amazing content that's going to be out there today. So as I said, this is no-sew. So my last trip that I went to Joann, I picked up this fabric fusion, and I'm using this glue on all the seams. I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Everywhere that I pinned, I'm going in and I'm adding the glue, and I'm waiting about 1 to 2 hours for it to dry or longer. And then once you're all finished, you can turn it to right side and then press the seams, and then you attach it to the ottoman, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. Okay, so our second DIY is a no-sew oversized lumbar. It's 45 inches by 18 inches. I basically used the full length of the fabric, which is 45 inches, and then I just added on the full 18 inches. And I'm really trying to do as little seams as possible. So I have one large seam, which is 45 inches. I'm using the same fabric fusion, and I'm just going to be using a 1/2 inch. Now to stuff this, I'm using an old pillow that is really flat, but if you pull out the batting that's inside, once you start pulling and expanding it, you will be surprised at how much batting is actually in the pillow. So I'm just fluffing it up as much as possible because I like for my pillow to be really fluffy. Now, I was not kidding with the amount of volume of this fluff. So now that we've made our seam, I turned it right side out and I also pressed the seam. Now we're going to be adding in all of the batting, and we're just going to be stuffing that. And you want to stuff it to the amount of firmness that you want. I like mine to be not so super firm because I just like the feel of it. Now at the end, because I have the selvage edge, which is like a little fray, I'm going to zoom in a little bit and you'll be able to see it's a really nice frayed edge, and that is the selvage of the fabric. So I'm just going in and I'm going to be pinning it because we are not going to turn this seam in. I like the way that the seam is finished. It looks like a little fringe. So I decided that I'm going to be using a pick stitch and I'm going to be using thick embroidery thread. So I'm going to be showing you the embroidery thread that I'm going to be using and also the needle in case you want to do this as well. And I'm just doing a quick pick running stitch to close up the seam on both sides. Now again, I have saw like so many designers using this same size lumbar pillow, and this size pillow is very expensive. So I decided that I was going to make it myself, and the fabric actually, I believe it was 50% off. So I wound up getting this fabric for like $5 for 1.5 yards of fabric. And it looks absolutely beautiful. So leave me a comment down below and let me know if you've ever done any no-sew fabric pillows or ottomans or any type of no-sew DIYs. So now that we have those 2 DIYs out of the way, I'm now going to be starting to prep the room. I'm going to be taking all of the items off the walls and off of like all of the furniture. We're gonna patch up any type of holes that might be in the walls. We're gonna swift the walls, just prepare it to have a nice paint job. And I shared previously on IG what my paint selection is. So the paint that I'm using is Benjamin Moore, and for the walls I'm using silver satin in an eggshell finish, and I'm doing the walls and also the ceiling in the same color. And for the trim I'm using white dove in a satin finish. So guys, I came up with this technique that I did for repairing plaster because my home is very old. I have a either 36 or 37 colonial home, and we have plaster walls, plaster ceilings, plaster everything. So it's really hard for us to be able to do renovations in our home. And in some cases, we have cracks in the ceiling and also in the wall. So in this particular case, I had a really bad crack that is in the cove ceiling in my master bedroom. And I wanted to fix it because it was a really eyesore. So I came up with this technique to reduce the amount of dust because I have to break up the plaster. I used a little cling wrap first, and I used painter tape. I misted it down with water first so that would reduce the dust. And then I just went in with a hammer to break up all of the built up plaster. And you can see it there how all of the plaster is inside of the bag. So I waited a little while because I was not looking forward to if there would be any dust. So I moved on over to clearing out all of the curtains and just finishing up the room. But I'm going to go back to this in a second. While I'm both building up the courage to tackle the ceiling, I'm just moving on over to sanding down the plaster that I put on the walls to fill in any holes. So I have a sponge sander, and make sure when you're using these sponge sanders that you have them wet, because there will be no dust accumulating all over the place if you use it wet. This is something that I learned the hard way when I first started working on plaster walls. So always make sure that you use the sponge wet. Okay, so I don't know why I was worried. It came down very well. Just as a precaution, I sprayed a little additional water while I was taking down the cling wrap. So you never can have too much water when you're dealing with plaster, so I just sprayed it down again, and I grabbed the nearest box. This happened to be a humidifier box because I did not want any of this plaster to hit the floor, so I scraped it with my little trowel into the box, and then I'm going in and filling in the actual crack with some caulk. Leave me a comment down below if you have any plaster walls or plaster ceilings in your home. Okay, so the next step is we're just going to go in with a little joint compound, and we're just going to fill in all of the plaster that we took off. And we're going to try and smooth it out, but we are going to be sanding it. So I shared this footage a couple of weeks ago on IG, and everyone seems to really enjoy watching the reel. So if you're not following me over on Instagram, make sure that you head over and follow me and check out my reels, my stories. I try to post into my stories about every day. you know, just so you can see, you know, what's going on. I give sneak peeks of projects that I'm working on as well. So right here, I'm using one of those stencil brushes that you get at the Dollar Tree, and my ceiling has a slight texture. So I'm just going in and I'm just putting a slight texture so that it doesn't look absolutely flat. This is the best tip that I'm going to be sharing. If you do not like dust, just use a normal envelope, stick it to the wall, and all of the debris falls into your envelope. So because we were doing this makeover, we decided to upgrade our TV and put it on the wall. Guys, I was not into painting this room at all. I actually dread whenever I have to paint walls and ceilings. I usually try to have my husband do it, but in this case, he was just as lax with wanting to do it as I was, so I had to jump in there. Okay, so the room is nicely painted. This is as much as you will see of the nice painted walls until part 2, when we do the decorating and the final reveal. So I would like to thank everyone for watching. I'm going to give you another nice view of outside. I would like to remind you, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Please also share this video with any friends and family that might like my content. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and have a blessed day.